Guys. Happy Mother's Day. Uh, I hope you guys have a great Mother's Day. um, yeah, so as you know, I think me and a couple other people went to Korea a couple weeks ago, 2 weeks ago from now. Um, it was during the 10 days, and yeah, I think what I wanted to do today was to kind of share about what we did over there. How many of you know what happened over there exactly? Okay, a couple people. I think if you went to the TribeNet call, they shared a little bit about it. But yeah, I think yeah, not a lot of people know about what we did during Korea, so that's something I wanted to share before I wanted to share my testimony. I put up some slides, but looks like we don't have a clicker here. So I think they're just random pictures. So uh, I don't. There's not really much information here. But yeah, I'll just give a rundown of what we did during the 10 days of Korea. But before I share that, it was an amazing experience, and I'm sure a lot of people can testify for those that went to the Korea trip. I know it was me, Precious, my brother. Who else was there? Kari. Yeah, yeah, Kari. I think that's it. But yeah. Um, and then last week she shared a wonderful testimony on her experience in the Blue Dragon tour, which was very a unique experience, I would say. Um, yeah, because I'd never I didn't see her around for like 7 of the days I was there in Korea. She was doing a lot of different things. So yeah, I guess a quick rundown of what we did. During Korea, we went to a lot of different places. But I guess when we arrived, most of our time was in Cheonpyeong, which is kind of like the spiritual like training place over there. And yeah, we had a lot of like lectures, and we had a Blue Dragon tour lecture from Reverend Dunkley, and it's basically the same content he shared in Chicago, probably in Indiana, and also Las Vegas, if you were there. Um, and then we went to a pilgrimage, and so we went to like a missionary memorial where a lot of Christian missionaries went to Korea during the time of the Korean War, I believe. And this was kind of like the memorial over there. And then I guess in the previous picture, we also went to Yeongpyeong Beach. I actually don't know why we went there, but it was really fun, and we did a lot of different activities there. And yeah, and then we didn't all go together. We went on separate like buses. Like one half went to another place, and the other half would go to the other to the beach. And then yeah, uh, so yeah, and then I guess some other things we did on during the pilgrimage was we went to like a Korean War memorial museum, to kind of basically shares about the history of the Korean War and what happened. We also went to the bridge. If you read True Mother's autobiography, it shares about when the bridge exploded. When True Mother was escaping from the north to the south, and that when that bridge exploded. And so that we were there on that bridge. But now it looks really great. It was yeah. So that was basically the pilgrimage that we did, and then we went to a lot of prayer vigils, and a lot of Chanyang, and all that stuff. But there was also times when we went through other fun stuff, like there was an aqua garden. I don't know if Kari talked about it, but it was really cool because when you're drinking coffee, you're basically like sitting there, and like there's like a bunch of fishes like going up and down the tanks, and then like you just sit there, and there's so much like nature, and then like the floor below that is like a zoo, so there's like a bunch of animals, and stuff like that. Um, Sorry, the pictures are like very like random, so they don't really explain what I'm saying. Um, but yeah, the pictures just help kind of show like the visual of how it was over there. Um, yeah, and there was a botanical garden. There was a lot of different stuff over there. And then I guess during that time, it was the blessing ceremony that time. So we went to join the blessing ceremony to watch everybody get matched and blessed and happily married. It was fun to see. And then we also had a victory celebration during that time as well, where a lot of the leaders shared their reports on like what happened throughout the time there. Um, so yeah, um, but I think I'm just gonna stop there from explaining a lot of the different things. But yeah, if you want to know more, you can let me know or somebody that went to Korea. Um, but yeah, anyways, so I just wanted to share a little bit about my testimony or my experience being at the Blue Dragon pilgrimage. So originally, I wasn't really intending to go. I decided to go to Korea like 3 days before, so my flight ticket was very expensive. Um, so yeah, I was just really busy with school, and that week was my exam. Like during those 2 weeks was my final exam week. So it was kind of like, okay, well, there's no way I could open my time for this 10-day Korea trip. But so yeah, so I didn't really think about it until like 3 days before. Um, and yeah, I think during that time I was like, okay, well, if okay, I'll contact all my teachers and say if it opens up, then I'll go. If it doesn't open up, then I won't go. And surprisingly, there was no exams during those 10 days. So I was like, okay, well, I guess, nothing's happening these next 10 days, so I guess I have to go. I don't have a choice. Obviously, I had homework and stuff like that, but I finished it during Korea. Um, so yeah, so my intention going into this pilgrimage was I didn't really have one, I guess I would say. I just jumped right into it. But and yeah, I was just really focused on my own like personal life of faith and my own career. So I didn't really think about this really. But I guess like overall, I think during my time I was there, like I realized how much I kind of missed being in this kind of environment, like a very like peaceful environment where like I didn't have to worry about anything or like spiritually I felt really free. Like I felt like really open, very light. Um, yeah, but not physically because Cheonggyeong is on the mountains and you can really lose your breath really fast. And like you walk 10 steps and I'm already out of breath. So it's very difficult physically, but spiritually I felt very free. Um, and yeah, and then especially like um, being in Ohio, it's not really such a big young community. Like I have a lot of friends all over the US and yeah, so sometimes it can be challenging to kind of keep my own faith and like kind of understand like what's going on within this movement or the direction of this of this movement. And so yeah, I really wanted to take my time to really reconnect with True Mother and also like to really reconnect with like what is really going on with like the bigger picture. So yeah, I guess like going into this, that's kind of what I was thinking about when I was going to Korea. And yeah, I think the fact that I think being in Cheonggyeong was already like an experience there. Like I really felt like um, what do you call it? Like I felt like there was nothing that I was thinking about. Like there was like nothing I was worried about or like really like I was just in like peace when I was over there in Korea. Even though like the schedule was like really hectic, like really busy, like we had to move everywhere. I'm like tired half the time. Um, the prayer vigils are from 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. for some reason. They pick that special time so that we can get less sleep. Um, I don't know why, but I'm sure like they have a reason. But yeah, and yeah, so I really felt a lot of peace when I was in Cheonggyeong overall in general, and the activities and the things that we did throughout that time there was really memorable, and I felt like I was able to connect a lot with the vision of this movement. Um, yeah, and so I think there, I one thing I really realized was I think throughout my time I was living here and not in Korea, I think there was like kind of like a missing ingredient in my own life that I've been looking for, I guess this past couple years. Um, and I felt like it was I think being at home is kind of like you look for things that kind of make you feel like, I'm doing the right thing, or I feel pretty happy about where my life is going right now. Because right now I feel pretty good. Like before Korea, it's like, oh, I just got an internship this summer, um, and like it's good for my like career experience. So like going into, oh, I'll be gone for 2 months in the summer, by the way, just to let you know. I'll be in Washington State and doing an internship. Um, and then like my personal faith, I feel like it feels pretty good. Like the growth that I'm gaining right now, it feels pretty good. Like I feel like I was in a comfortable place where I could like grow and learn more about myself and things like that. But then when I went to Korea, I think that was when I felt like I was looking. It was good things for me, but I think there was one key ingredient that I was really missing within my own life, and I feel like it was kind of like that missing ingredient was kind of like the spirit of the movement, like how I was able to feel, and I think. Yeah, I think being in Cheonggyeong made me realize how beautiful it is to kind of feel and live in that kind of environment, because I felt like um, doing like Chanyang and things like that. I also like Kaori said, I also don't know why we do like certain things in our movement, but I know when I do it, it feels good. So I think it's right. I think it's right for me. Um, so yeah, like the Chanyang, like I don't know why I'm like clapping and stuff like that, and it's like confusing, but like I know in the end, like I don't feel bad about it. I feel pretty good. I feel refreshed. So I think something's going in the right direction for myself. But I think the overall feeling that I felt made me realize, like, the things that's been set up in Cheonggyeong made me feel like, this feels right. It feels like I'm going in the right direction. Um, and so, yeah. Um, and I guess like there's a lot to share in this Blue Dragon pilgrimage. So I might go like all over the place, but I guess I'll just share an experience about like the Chonshimwon prayer vigils. So as you know, they go from 9 and 10. I think it's 10 p.m. actually, 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. So it's kind of like um, I look around the room in the prayer room, and like half the people are like dozing off or sleeping. So I'm wondering like what's the point of these prayer vigils if half the people aren't paying attention to it? But then like, I also struggle with the prayer vigils too. Like the first 2 days, it was kind of like, it wasn't really interesting. Like I would sleep half the time. Like I can't stay up. It's so hard. Like 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. I'm surprised like these people can do it for 1,000. This is their like 1,000 prayer vigil, so it's kind of like surprising. Um, so yeah, I didn't really connect to it. I kind of struggled and I had a challenge with it. So I wasn't really motivated in terms of that aspect, like that spiritual aspect of myself. Um, and so I was really closed off, and like I wasn't really paying attention of what they were saying, and the translation kind of like stopped here and there, so it was kind of a little difficult to kind of understand. So I think during that time I was kind of like very closed off, and like um and they would do this like every weekday, and then I guess Saturdays they don't do it, or Sundays as well, I think. Um and so I was just really closed off, and I felt like, if okay, if tomorrow, if I don't pay attention to half the things, if I sleep half the time, I'm not going to these anymore. I'm just going to sleep because I'm tired. But yeah, but this time I was like, okay, well, at least I have to stay awake the whole time. My mind was like, if I go the third time, if this is my last time I'm going, just to test it out, I'm gonna stay awake the whole time. I'm gonna actually try to pay attention, um, maybe write notes, and basically kind of put my open my heart to kind of listen and receive what they're saying. So when I decided to do that, um, for some reason I was awake the whole time. Um, when I actually tried, and yeah, actually it was really inspiring to kind of be there, um, kind of hearing the testimonies, especially in the beginning. Like they would have three or two like second gen or first gen like share their testimony about like their own personal life of faith, or their like spiritual experiences, as well. And every time, I guess because it's their 1,000th like prayer vigil, I'm sure like thousands of different people gave their testimony on spiritual experiences. And it's really surprising to me that every time I hear it, like they always feel like when they go to like a training period during like a 21 day um, Chompion workshop, or like their own like life of faith, they would always have like a good like spiritual experience where either they themselves would revive their own faith, or they would see someone else kind of revive their faith. And if if that happened like every time they go to like a champion workshop, I think that really shows like, something is really moving here within like this movement. And like I mean, they would also share reports where I guess one example is like one guy like has such a hard time like moving around. He was an old person. Someone was sharing about a testimony of a old guy that can't move basically because of a lot of health problems. But I guess during like the Chanyang sessions and like doing the spiritual workshop stuff, like this guy would like he this person shared a video. Like this guy can't put his shoes on, like that old guy, he can't put his shoes on at all. But like for like a while, like he during like these spiritual experiences that he had, he would get better and better. And so in the end, like she showed a video of him like skipping around and jumping around. So that was kind of funny to see, but it was kind of like, oh, like that's not just like a physical thing, but it also has something to do spiritually too. But yeah, I think that as well is kind of like there's a lot of different experiences that they kind of share to kind of help me realize like, it's not just like a physical thing where people get better, like people get revived and stuff, but it's there's also a spiritual aspect within ourselves too. And that's also how I felt as well being in Chumpyong too. Um, and so yeah, and then I think afterwards there was like um, what happened afterwards? It's 3 hours, so sometimes I get lost of what's happening. Um, and yeah, I think overall just in general, like the prayer vigil, like they say it's a prayer vigil, but the total time you pray is 4 minutes. So out of the 3 hours, you only pray for like a couple minutes. So it's kind of like unfortunate. That's kind of what I was looking for, but I guess that's not the case in Korea. Korea's prayer is reports and sharing about testimonies. So there's a lot of music and stuff like that. So I think overall, kind of like um, through this experience, it kind of helped me realize like, it kind of helped me open up my own like spiritual aspect of myself, like spiritual side of myself. Because yeah, personally for me, I'm not really like a spiritual person. Like I see everything as the real thing. Like I don't see like ghosts and the Holy Spirit. And when I go to church, I mean, I pray. It's fun. I enjoy it, but I don't really see or spiritually attuned to what's going on around me, I guess. But I guess now that I realize like there is like a spiritual aspect behind me, because I know like during my time in Chongpyeong, before I was going to school and stuff like that, like I could sometimes there would be times where I have a lot of thoughts in my head, so it would be really difficult to sleep. Like I would think about school, I would think about everything. I would just have like so many things I worry about, so it makes it so hard for me to sleep. And maybe because I also drink coffee at like 5 p.m. But that's sometimes that happens sometimes. But um, like usually it's sometimes hard for me to sleep. I would start to sleep out right like 11, and then it'd be so hard to sleep. Sometimes I would sleep at like 1 a.m. because I would be having a lot of like thoughts. Um, but then when I was in Cheongpyeong, like I would go like straight to sleep. Like the moment I close my eyes, I just go straight to sleep, and like nothing, there's nothing to worry about in my head, no thoughts, and things like that. And so I guess that's when I knew, like, I tried so many ways to sleep during the night, but when I was in Korea, I did nothing but a bunch of spiritual stuff. But I just went to sleep really easily, and so I think it was kind of like a testament to see, like, it's not just doing all the physical things that I need to do to make myself go to sleep or like kind of help me go to sleep, but there's also like that spiritual side of myself, and I feel like I kind of needed to open myself about that aspect. Um, I lost where I was, but yeah, and yeah, and also there's a lot of things that happened throughout that time. Um, let's see. So I think overall, like, it was a really nice experience being in Korea. I guess another experience that I had, I guess in terms of the relationship I would have with like the movement and True Mother is, um, I feel like going into this workshop, it feels a lot more personal to me. It's not like I think before when I was growing up in this movement, I think I was just seeing like true parents as people who were like, people like leaders who have like an opportunity to kind of like change the world. And I see that a lot, and I respect that a lot for that aspect. Like, um, yeah, I read True Father's autobiography, and it's like, oh, this guy's a pretty cool guy. Like he like can has so much impact around the world, and I feel like these are people that can really like change the world. But I never really saw them. I just saw them as leaders. I never really saw them as like something more personal to me. So I think being in this Korea trip made me realize how much like love she has for people in general. Like not just like I mean, there's a lot of meetings and leaders and reports. It's sometimes kind of boring to join them, but like there's so much other things that really she provides that kind of help me understand like this person is not just like doing it just to do it, but like really she really has like care for like the world. Um, and yeah, because I could see it within like there's like three cafes, like an aqua garden. They have a ski resort. Um, and a fun fact, I didn't know they held the Winter Olympics there at the ski resort. That was pretty cool. But they have a ski resort. They have like a lot of different things. Like they have like a spiritual training ground, like a prayer room. They have a 24-hour like convenience store where we can eat ramen if you're really tired and you don't want to go to the prayer vigils, but you can eat ramen late at night. Um, like she provided all of that to kind of make us feel like comfortable, to make us feel like home. But I think the one thing is like another thing is like there's like a bunch of big like buildings with a lot of different stuff, and I don't know the purpose behind it. Some of the things I know, but like there's one building that they just built like last year, and it's like a huge building. It looks really empty. I don't know what's supposed to be inside, but I think one thing that they made was like kind of like to really create like a dwelling place for God. and like there's a lot of different churches and stuff like that. But I think this made me realize like how much like True Mother really wants to make God happy. With all these things. I mean, it's also to make us happy, but ultimately it's to make like God happy. And I feel like that's kind of like the ultimate like higher purpose of why everything is created in the first place. It's kind of like these things aren't really built for. I mean, there's a lot of churches and worship places, but I guess in today's world, a lot of people kind of think about kind of like themselves, and also they think about other people too, but like they don't really make like a place for God to really like dwell in and to really be able to rest comfortably. And it's kind of like we tend to ask God for like a lot of things, a lot of different things. Please God, do this. Please God, make my grades better. Please God, make me stay awake in these prayer vigils so I can pay attention, stuff like that. But actually, like we don't really pray to make God comfortable, even though that they provided so much for us. And so I really felt like that's what really True Mother is really trying to convey, like really trying to do everything for God and really making God feel comfortable in his own personal life within all of us. And yeah, I could really see that within like the victory celebrations, like the reports and stuff like that. I can really see that a lot. So yeah, and to be honest, like if I could be like a missionary for life, I would, but I don't want to. I mean, I can't, because I have to do school. But but it made me realize, like the purpose of why I'm doing school isn't for myself really. I mean, I get money, but that's kind of life. Um, so it's kind of like I did my career. So if you guys don't know, I think I said this a billion times already, but I'm an environmental engineer right now. So I just got an intern for Indian Health Services. It's a government agency uh, in Native American communities. And I guess the role that I have is an intern, but they help provide clean water facilities for Native Americans. Um, and so that kind of made me realize, like, being in Champyeong, being in Korea, like, the purpose that I have isn't to kind of, um, the reason why I wanted to do it, I mean, obviously, like, it's to, like, get a stable life, make money, stuff like that. But I think ultimately, like, the reason why I do these things right now is kind of like to make, like, the communities, like, happy, like, to help other people, because that's kind of what I wanted to do in the first place. And yeah, it kind of made me realize, like coming back home, like it made me reset my purpose of why I'm doing the things I'm doing right now, and kind of helps me to think about like my purpose is not mainly for myself, but ultimately to kind of bring like God comfort through making other people happy, to even like live. So yeah, I think that's kind of like what I realized like coming back home. Um, yeah, and so I learned a lot of different things, but yeah, so that's pretty much like my overall experience being in Champyeong. Um, yeah, I think if I think I think what I encourage, I guess, everybody to do is like go at least once within your lifetime to go to Champyeong. I think it's very like a moving experience. I think for myself it was. I don't know about other people. I think other people had different experiences, but I know that 80 or 90% of the people that was there with me in the Korea trip was had a very like good experience, a very reviving experience. So I really encourage everybody to kind of go at least once. They have like 21-day workshops like all the time for some reason. Um, and yeah, so yeah, so I think I'm just gonna stop there. I think you looked at all the pictures already. This is the last slide, by the way. But Yeah, I just want to thank everybody for taking the time to listen and have a wonderful day.
All right, thank you, David. So much to share. So much, so much. And now we have another brother who recently attended the Blue Dragon tour in Indiana. He's our wonderful brother in the back. Rarely to see his face during service because he's working so hard supporting the slides. If I could, uh, um, oh, he's setting up his own slides. Whoa, he's support from himself. All right, so if I can welcome up Nathan Bratcher.
Hi, everyone. The slides weren't for me, they're for someone else who you'll be hearing from. Happy Mother's Day. How are we all doing today? Good. Okay. Um, so I went to Indiana for the Blue Dragon tour. When I heard about it, I heard that Reverend Dunkley was saying, this is the innermost part of True Mother's heart. And my impression on hearing that was um, Reverend Dunkley sees True Mother a lot. He has meals with her and other people who are just like an arm's length away from her, basically. And Reverend Dunkley is in that position now. And I thought what he's saying is things that he's hearing directly from her in conversations where she's sitting across from him at a table or just a few feet away. That's what we'll hear about. And it's not that you don't hear about that, but when he says it's the innermost part of True Mother's heart, that's literally what it is. And it was deeper in True Mother's heart than I conceived of it being. So if you haven't been, I highly recommend going. If you have to pay to watch a recording, there was just one in Las Vegas this weekend. I really encourage my mom to go. She made the time to do it and just watch it from home. It was recorded. You may be able to access the recording if you haven't seen it. But you can talk about it in just a few minutes of what's it about? You know, what's the big deal? Is it just another workshop? And in some ways I did feel like it was, you know, something furthering the providence, but there's really something meaningful to it. And what Reverend Dunkley told us, one thing I wanted to say is, you know, we want Christians to really understand the essence of Jesus, that you can't fully experience who Jesus was if you don't understand his purpose, what he came here for, what he was trying to accomplish, what he wished could have been done in his lifetime. And he made an analogy for people who are Christians and they believe in salvation through grace by Jesus. How could they really receive it if they didn't know Jesus died? If they didn't have that knowledge in their mind that Jesus died? So that's an aspect that applies to us as well. You know, we want Christians to understand the essence of Jesus, but if we don't understand as unificationists the essence of true parents, then we can't fully participate or fully understand or fully comprehend what it is that they have to offer us, what it is that they're asking of us. And what the Blue Dragon Tour kind of does is help us understand better true parents, who True Mother is now especially. And I'm really grateful that Reverend Dunkley is making this time. He came to Indiana. He came to a lot of places around the country. There were rebirth workshops last fall. But he was with us, I think, for like 1.5 days. And he gave like his main message, what he wanted to come for on a Saturday. And either by the end of the day or by the next day, he was already going to somewhere else to talk to a Christian leader, just to talk about True Mother. That's it. And he's just like kind of going everywhere, doing everything he can to get us all in the same boat. We're all in the same boat, but we have to recognize it. And the reason I look funny is because he made this point, and if you've heard him talk about it, then you already know. But you know, we've been walking around like this for 60 years or something, and we've all been more or less in some way like this. and someone will point it out and say, something's not right, or something's off. And whether it's a leader or a person or a parent or a child or someone will say, no, everything's fine. What are you talking about? What do you mean? Like, my shirt's buttoned on correctly. And there have been people who have observed this. They can see something is not right, but there wasn't acknowledgement of that. And what I think Reverend Dunkley has done a really good job communicating is, here's why, and this is an understanding behind it. It was really a valuable experience for me to understand that there's more for me to learn, more for me to understand. If there are things that haven't been said for 60 years, is there more? You know, if we struggle to comprehend this, what if True Mother has more she wants to say to us? Can we be ready for more? True Mother talked about being the only begotten daughter. People struggled with that for years. True Mother had more she wanted to say, and people struggled with that. And this is something that you can, I think, have a better presentation of, but just to put it kind of in brief or in a summary, there's a professor in Korea who faithfully follows True Parents, who is trying to communicate their words, their truth, follow their instructions. And True Mother has been leading our movement for the last several years, maybe 11, 12. And he's just trying to work with True Mother now. And he made something public, his analysis, his point. A lot of Korean leaders in public positions, high up positions, kind of almost excommunicated him and said that anything that he's presented does not represent the views of the movement as a whole. Don't listen to it, don't view it. And the things that happened after were really concerning. So there was a big issue with the UCI case. We've had a lot of issues with our church just existing in Japan, and there was something else. And they all happened immediately after. When you miss the mark, that's when things happen. You know, if you are trying to go about things in the right way, but you're not united, you're not clear, or you don't follow the instructions you're given, it's when things can go wrong. You know, if you start driving without a seatbelt, you can drive and get to your destination safely. If you're not in an accident, it doesn't matter. But if you start doing these things that are not helping you, that are not preparing you, you put yourself in a place to separate what God is trying to create, and you make a condition for them not to happen. And not only do you prevent good things or the right things from happening, you allow bad things to happen. And when that was presented to me, I clearly saw, because we weren't united on this, because we didn't understand, I feel like these other things happened directly. They could have been prevented, but that's how they were. So maybe just to end, the course of True Parents was not set in every way. It didn't have to be exactly as it was. The retrospective view of the Bible is everything happened as it was and as it was supposed to be. And part of that is a view of God, that God is completely in charge. God directs everything, and it goes according to his plan. Otherwise, it wouldn't happen. But in a sense, we've done the same thing. You know, if we consider True Parents' life course, we need to ponder and reflect, not live in the past of what could have been done differently, but, you know, if things happened as God really wanted them to, where would we be now? What would have already been accomplished? We have to focus on the present, obviously, but it's just something to consider and something to understand to raise up our level of faith, to not be a servant of servants or an adopted child or an actual child, but to be a filial child, to have a level of faith that is accountable, understanding, and responsible, and able to help Heavenly Parent. So that's my message. I hope you can really participate in this and understand it, and maybe our next testimony giver can help also fill in the details. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Nathan. I saw his buttons, and immediately I knew, nice. So that's, now you get it. So you go to the tour if you haven't gone already, and you'll get it. All right, very good. So actually, due to time, we'll be foregoing Josh's testimony, but Josh has. So Josh has a lot to share. All right, all right. So I'll welcome up Josh Angelucci to give his testimony.
Okay. You guys good? All right. It's like David's testimony of the prayer vigil. You know, it's like the Sunday service, right? So you gotta choose to be present, like David chose to be present during our testimonies. Then you can receive the most grace. Amen. Amen. All right. So, I I'm so blessed. I asked Pastor Hebangja from Indiana for some pictures so I could use for my testimony. He gave me a whole beautiful presentation. So we get to, work together and have that resource for us. So I went to the Blue Dragon tour in Indiana. So we got to hear Nathan shared about that as well, and we got to hear from Kari and David about Korea. So I'm going to share a bit more about Indiana, which is really very close to home. It's pretty exciting, actually. One of the most inspiring things for me was what all was done right, like just 3 hours away, right? Marianne, don't you agree? Just 3 hours away. It was great. Marianne was also there, and we could enjoy the experience together. All right, let's go to the next slide. Oh, I have the clicker. I left the clicker. So during the program, there was 4 parts with a bonus, which is really cool. So first, some education, which is what Nathan focused on. Understanding the truth of the providence. That's one way to say it. Also, a better understanding true parents, like Nathan explained. This was Damien talks about it like he's sharing his testimony. Some people might think it's like a lecture, and Damien is explaining, he's just sharing his experience, what he's discovered by studying True Mother's words, and also what True Mother has said to him directly. So we had that. We had healing chants, Chumbo, Great Works, which was really exciting. Has anybody done had a Chunyan session in the Midwest before? You guys have? In Chicago? Okay, cool. When was that? I'm curious. Okay, awesome. Well, how about within 3 hours of here? Oh yeah, some of the people that were there in Indiana. Okay, so yeah, it was really exciting. We could have Chumbo's, session with education from one of the staff members that has been in Champyeong for 18 years, which was wonderful. His name is Ruichi, when I did 3 40-day workshops when I was in my when I was around 20, he was also there. So it's amazing. He's been there, very dedicated. And he has actually moved to the U.S. to help the Chumbo Providence in America, which is amazing, for I think a year. A whole testimony just that could be dedicated to him. But we'll move on. And then we had celebration time with a Sunday service program led by the Indiana community, which was, the goal was to share a beautiful, the best Sunday service experience that they could with everybody that was there. And then the Indiana community opened their building. So they bought a building. I don't know the details, but I heard it's a very incredible story of how they were able to raise the money. It's a very, very nice building in terms of it's almost as nice in terms of, not in terms of size, but in terms of how good it looks compared to this building. So I think we should. Basically my main points of my testimony is to be excited about the Providence, and not just on the national level, but it's even reaching, like Indiana, which is very close to home, right? Reaching our local communities. And God is working. So, yes, so those were the main pieces. So a few pictures. So we have one Columbus member there, right? Who can see them? Columbus member. Timothy, yeah, awesome. I slept in the basement where Timothy was sleeping, so we got to. Sometimes I had to wake him up because he was snoring. Anyways, this is Timothy for anybody that doesn't know Timothy. But we got to talk about GPA, and yeah, they are. This is the GPA team that was in town that was supporting the program, really inspiring. This young lady is from Korea, who came to the U.S. because she wanted to do GPA in the U.S., which is very rare, and she didn't really speak English very well when she first came. Now this is her second year. I love talking to her. She's so cool. I'm somebody that moved a lot when I was young in different countries, so I can relate. This is Denthu Leary. How many people know him? Or know who he is, I guess. Okay, some people. So anyways, he's responsible for the youth in the U.S. movement now, so including GPA, CARP, many different things, and awesome brother, very smart, has done so much for the youth in the last, probably 10 years. He's been working with youth, especially in the northeast of America. This is all of some of the Chumbo staff. So this was during the Chunyan sessions. And yeah, and this is Riichi that I mentioned before. So some of the highlights from the event. So I think, and here was the conclusion. You can just get a sense for who was there. I don't know if you can tell here, but there's a lot of young faces. People in their 20s, 30s, up here on the front, and many of these people here were somehow participated as staff during the program. So that was wonderful. Beautiful cake as well. I didn't get a piece though. Too many people, which is a good thing. All right, so on Friday and Saturday were where we received education about True Parents, True Mother, Jesus, a lot of really valuable insights. I heard most of this content before, and after hearing this a few days ago, I was praying, and it's interesting because when I was here, I was like, it didn't hit my heart, let's say. I was like, I already heard this information, so it wasn't new. And then on Tuesday, I'm home and I'm praying, and I'm like, okay, Heavenly Parent, I want to pray more, especially with my kids. Otherwise, how else can they inherit, have a relationship with you? So I'm praying with my kids, and I'm like, Heavenly Parent and True Parents, thank you so much, Heavenly Parent. Thank you so much, True Parents. And that's like unusual for me to thank True Parents because I'm somebody that I do feel close to Heavenly Parent. I feel that He's working in my life, that God is guiding me. I'm very blessed in many ways. So I feel God and gratitude towards God, but I don't regularly feel in my heart gratitude towards True Parents. And through this workshop, through the education especially, I got a new sense of gratitude for True Parents, which I think as a second gen to have that experience, somebody that's known True Parents as a child, it's a big deal. It's wonderful. So I'm really grateful for that deeper understanding. Very similar to what David was talking about how much True Mother loves us, right? Having a more personal relationship. And just before I move on, really so grateful for President Dunkley. How many people have attended a Rebirth workshop or a Blue Dragon tour workshop? Could you please raise your hands? Okay, all right. Okay, so less than half. Okay, so really want to testify to him as the leader of the United States and the North America region, because he's been, I feel like God sent him to the wilderness in a sense to go to Asia. If any of you have heard about his experience there, but God sent him. He had such a profound, it's just such a beautiful experience of really seeing what, some of the struggles of humanity more than what we struggle with here, and also gained such a deeper level of understanding of True Parents. And Damien is, he's really American in so many ways, so he's able to communicate to us in a way that we understand, in a way that many people have not heard before, right? It's a new style of teaching, of sharing, of testifying, and it's been very effective. Definitely for me, I can speak from my personal experience that his way of explaining things is to the point, is succinct, is fun, and it touches your heart. So so grateful for him and what he's been doing. And he's also so focused on what does God want, right? What does True Mother, what does True Father, what do True Parents want, rather than just thinking about what he thinks might be best. So it's incredible. I'm really so grateful for him and what he's doing, and I hope that you can also, through my testimony, feel inspired about the direction of our movement. Were visited from Dr. Kim, who is responsible for the Chumbo Providence in the U.S., and was one of the key people to help us with the Chumbo experience. This is the pastor couple in Indiana, Hebangja. He gave me the slides. That's a small thing that he did, but him and his wife, they just had a baby around the same time that they got the building. Can you imagine buying a church building for your church and having a baby at the same time? How many people have bought a house recently? Okay. How many people can remember how stressful it was to buy their house? Okay. Or maybe you haven't bought a house. Anyways, it's very stressful. And buying a church building is much more expensive. So he did all of that just a couple months ago, went to Korea for 10 days, didn't sleep during the prayer vigils probably, and then came back and did this event with a little baby just recently. So I'm really, really amazed by their couple. And they have been catalysts for a transformation in the Indiana community, which I'm going to talk a little bit more about later. Did the people there, who went to Indiana? Here we have, a few people. So, wasn't it awesome how many younger people were leading the program? It was alive. It was very inspiring for me, Actually, I'm young, right? Right? Yeah. But like I felt a bit old, because the people that were organizing the program were all younger than me, at least how many years? Maybe like 7 years younger than me. So it was so awesome to see, like a slightly different, not a generation different, but a different age stepping up, and it's also, yeah, and there was a good number of them. So I'll talk about that more. But Hebangja and his wife have been the catalyst for that to happen in Indiana. And they're a smaller community in Ohio, but they're having this program, and they have been chosen. I don't know if you know, but the Blue Dragon Tour, the cities that are having it have been chosen to be invested into and getting, let's say, a specific attention from our national movement to become model communities for other communities to be able to replicate. So I think it's an awesome, strategy for growth, because it's difficult to focus on all the communities at the same time. But if we can nurture the ones that are the most ripe for growth, other communities can just, we will just be like, hey, what are you guys doing? Okay, we'll do that, right? And we can learn from them. So Indiana has been chosen like that. One of the things that they received out of being chosen, which I would like to, it'll come later, but there is a surprise that I'll tell you about. So hold on, about what it means. One of the kind of gifts, let's say, that they received. So here's on Saturday, I think, when we did this picture with everybody that was there. There's Nathan, Elisa. Sorry? This is their new building. Awesome, right? Let's give a hand for the Indiana community. And we got, where else do we got? Ohio people. Am I not in this picture? I think I failed my responsibility to attend the full program. Okay, well, we got some representation. So one of the pieces of Mother's guidance has been that President Dunkley is holding on to and forwarding to us, is focusing on spirit and truth. How many people have heard of that, spirit and truth? Yeah. So it's really, really wonderful. And that's also what David was talking about, the spirit, and I think Nathan focused more on truth. Oh, that's really cool. We actually got spirit and truth. But there's the importance of the spirit, right? The spiritual experience of the Holy Spirit is one way to say it. And it's been very enlivening, enriching experience. We did they modeled after the Korea prayer vigil, Americanized it a little bit, and we had beautiful prayer vigils each night with worship music, deep, sincere prayer. I felt a lot of love during the prayer vigil. You can see here. Do you see these two people? They are brother and sister. Oh, here's Mia. Yeah. So, perfect. So, one of the things I wanted to share was these two were standing there, and this is something that really inspired me. They are brother and sister, and they're both. Actually, the sister on the left, she's the secretary for the pastor, so she's the one that probably made these slides and a lot of the slides for the program. And Terushi used to be the Secretary General for our sub-region, and now he is back home in Indiana. And they were both leading the prayer vigil, and I just felt, as soon as I saw it, I felt love for my only sibling, my brother, and I was just like, oh, I love him so much. And then I thought about my kids. I have my oldest are a boy and a girl. And I thought, wow, like, if one day my kids can lead a prayer vigil in front of the whole community like them, I would be so happy. Right, Grace? You'd be. Yeah, it would be such a. I just was crying thinking about my kids, standing up in front like that and giving their heart. And feeling God's love and sharing that to the audience through their singing. And it's a minor miracle in my opinion to have siblings up together, leading the community. So, for those of you that know the Nakaza family, maybe can give kudos to the parents, um, and support Terushi and Tazue to continue. So the prayer vigils were wonderful. We had this was the Chanyan session, and I think I was sitting here with the Fujikakes, right? It was nice to sit next to our Ohio family. I really enjoyed the Chanyan sessions. I'm a Chanyan enjoyer, maybe in the minority, but I was very grateful. Actually, I've been dealing with a lot of stress and around work. A lot of stress around work. I don't think I've had this much stress for this long time from work for many years. So I was really praying a lot actually about work and asking for God's guidance because it's affecting everything, affecting my family, affecting, my sleep, like David was talking about, not sleeping. So I was praying about it, and then, asking God, please help me to, maybe if there's a spiritual aspect to this, like help, give me some support, help me to liberate, maybe if there's someone that's affecting me. And Ryuichi came during the Chanyan session, and he gave Chanyan here, and then he did Chanyan here. And when he tapped my chest, I felt really light and really like emotional. I felt like something was, I don't know what it was, but something was different. So somehow, I feel like I heard before that then the chest there's like connected to anger. So I thought maybe there was some kind of anger that was let go. And so work has been better this week. So, I'm grateful for that. So, we're talking about the spirit, we talked about the prayer vigils, but also we're bringing the Chambo right here in our backyard, which is really, really incredible. I mean, I never have personally never attended, only once attended Chambo program inside the U.S. other than this. And it's actually a core part of my faith has been my experiences in Champyeong as a young adult. So being able to bring that in our backyard, I think, is very important for our movement and something that especially Americans we need. I think we're very logical and, right, David? You're just thinking about school and grades, and you gotta change, man. I've been telling you. Anyways, but we all, I think I can speak for a lot of Americans. We kind of have that where we're focused on, paying the bills and first world problems. But if we can focus on, if we can have these kinds of environments, it's not only our fault. We have to work together to help to create the beautiful environment where God can come down, right? It's hard to do it on our own sometimes. So if we can come together to do it like this, I'm so grateful that we had this opportunity and we're getting the support all the way from True Mother, basically, to bring Chambo to the U.S. and now more support from the national leadership to bring it right to Indiana. So really awesome. More pictures from that. And here are some of the inspiring young leaders in Indiana. Look at this great-looking couple, Chris and Sachika, right? Yeah. Sachika. And all of these people were somehow helping in the event, And I'm really, I mean, it's awesome. It's really awesome to see. It's not easy to pull off a 3 or 2.5 day program, and the fact that it was led by young people is really inspiring to me. I mean, I don't know. I can't really overstate that enough. And then Denthu gave the sermon, which was focused on ownership, right? Part of what True Mother is asking us to do, and what Damien's asking us to do, is to take more ownership, like Nathan said, go to the level of the filial child. What does a filial child do? He doesn't just say, "Oh, mom, dad, what should I do?" He even, what's the right word? Attends. He even like thinks of what mom wants for Mother's Day without asking her, and gets it ahead of time, right? Or he asks, he doesn't just ask the pastor, Pastor Gloria, what should I do? Asks God, oh, how can I serve this community? Prays about it, hears God's guidance, and then takes action. So Denthu focused on that point of ownership for all of us, to focus on asking God for, okay, directly, right? Having the direct relationship instead of depending on other people for our life of faith. Really deep point. Beautiful point. So this is coming to the end of my testimony. I think another thing I'm really grateful for is on the truth aspect of things, is that we are, President Dunkley, True Mother, they are willing to have difficult conversations about, Nathan talked about things that maybe we could have done better in our community, in our movement. And to me, it's wonderful that we can have these conversations in a healthy way, in a beautiful environment. You don't even have to agree, maybe, even if you don't agree with what people are saying, or what leadership is saying, or what True Mother is saying. The fact that we can, and at least in the U.S., we're having honest conversations about the past in our movement, possible mistakes that may have been done. I think that is very, very healthy, and we need to be able to acknowledge our own mistakes to move forward. So I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for this bravery to talk about truth, and I think it's a great sign for our future. So last thing to say is, please invite you to take ownership of your faith. Maybe that's like a big word, but what I mean by that is it is a new time. It does feel like there's many new things changing. There's in Indiana, super inspiring time to see young leadership, to see how God's working, bringing that building, bringing all of the blessings of the Blue Dragon tour there. So I think it's a new age in the sense of, if you earnestly pray for guidance in your life from God, I feel that God will come to you. I know in Columbus we're blessed to have a Chungshimwan, so invite you to use that, and I hope that you can feel that we're moving in a great direction in the U.S. Through my testimony. So with that, please join me in prayer. Heavenly Parent, thank you so much for this Sunday. It's Mother's Day, Heavenly Parent. And it's incredible what mothers do for their children, for the family. We're so grateful, Heavenly Parent, for Heavenly Mother, for Heavenly Mother's love, for our True Mother's love, for the mothers in our lives. and pray that during this week we can bring that motherly love, help that motherly love to flourish, to bring growth, to bring healing, to bring beauty into this world this week. And we want to invite you into our lives in everything that we do, even when we're at the gym or at the desk or praying. We ask you to join us this week, Heavenly Parent. I report this in my name, Joshua Angelucci, a Blessed Central Family. Aju.